Bona Vice Chancellor, before I invite you to address the freshers, allow me to just make a few remarks with regards to what has been happening in the past 1 week or so. Bona Vice Chancellor, I'm happy to report that the orientation process for our freshers has gone on well since day one, and day one was on Monday, December 14th. Bona Vice Chancellor, the freshers have been taken through a series of activities in the university that include general academic policies and procedures, the academic and social life in a university setup. We've taken them through an orientation on library services within the institution. There was a presentation on managing mental health in an academic environment like this one. They were talked to about alcohol, drug and substance abuse and dependency by our own staff within the institution. Bona Vice Chancellor, the freshers had the opportunity to ask questions which were being captured by a secretariat. What could be answered by the secretariat, Bona Vice Chancellor, was done, and those questions that would not be answered in the immediate have been archived, and the students are going to be directed to a particular website where the various answers to the questions will be availed. And Bona Vice Chancellor, we've made it a point that this web or this portal will be available for a period of time, and the students will still be allowed to ask any further questions, post them there, and expect to get some answers on the same. Lastly, Bona Vice Chancellor, I wish to confirm that the executive deans within the institution had the opportunity to talk to their freshers. When I say their freshers, I'm referring to freshers within their faculties on matters that are very specific to the individual faculties, and this also went very well. Now, without wasting much time, because we are running short of time, Bona Vice Chancellor, and this is really your occasion, I want to take this opportunity to just invite you to talk to the freshers. But before that, I want to let the freshers know that the Vice Chancellor seated on my right, who will be talking to you very briefly, is actually a professor of surveying. Professor Francis Aduol, and that is his name, who is the Vice Chancellor of the Technical University of Kenya, has had many years of experience in university administration as well as an academic member of staff. Professor Francis Aduol started off as a tutorial fellow at the University of Nairobi. He served as a tutorial fellow and was later promoted to the position of lecturer. He was further beyond the lecturer. He became a senior lecturer, then became an associate professor, and finally a professor in surveying and geodetic engineering, if I'm not mistaken. I also want to mention that Professor Aduol has had extensive experience in university management. He was not just a chair of a department for 6 years. He was elected as a dean in engineering at the University of Nairobi. He served in that capacity for a period of 4 years before being appointed as the principal of the College of Architecture and Engineering of the University of Nairobi, and he served for a period of 10 years. Professor Francis Aduol is actually the pioneer principal of what was previously the Kenya Polytechnic University College. For those of you who may not know, this institution was previously Kenya Polytechnic. Kenya Polytechnic. It became promoted and elevated to Kenya Polytechnic University College, a constituent college of the University of Nairobi. Professor Francis Aduol happens to have been the first principal of that university college. He was then promoted or appointed as the first Vice Chancellor of the Technical University of Kenya when Kenya Polytechnic University College was elevated or became chartered as the first technical university in this country. He has served that since 2013 to date, and he continues to be the Vice Chancellor, the first Vice Chancellor of this institution. Without much ado, Bona Vice Chancellor, it is my humble pleasure to invite you to come and talk to the freshers of the Technical University of Kenya. This is a big group, numbering slightly over 3,000 in number. It includes diplomas, students, as well as degree students of the Technical University of Kenya. Karibu sana, Bona Vice Chancellor.
Freshers, this is very unusual for us to speak to you in this way. Usually, we would have invited you to the university hall and we would have spoken to you face to face. But all of us understand the circumstances in which we are, and that is why we are speaking to you like this today. I would like to begin by welcoming you to the Technical University of Kenya as our very new students who are joining us in the academic year 2020-2021. This academic year should have started for you students in July this year, but again, because of the circumstances in which we are, we have had to push this, first of all, to do the orientation this time, and secondly, to invite you to come to university beginning January. Very soon after this, you are going to be, probably you have already been told by Professor Shundu, but you are going to be given the formal program that begins the academic year from January. It means you will be starting your academic year 6 months later than usual, but we will try to see, as you go through your program, how we can save time in order for you to be able still to graduate at the same time that you should have graduated if you started in July. So very much welcome to the Technical University of Kenya, and I very much appreciate the presentations that have gone on for the rest of the week from Monday. Incidentally, the orientation normally takes just about 1 week, although I remember last time we extended by about 2-3 days. But so don't think that we have shortened your orientation. Your orientation has gone through all the stages that we should have given you, even if you came here physically. This address by the Vice Chancellor is a special address usually to freshers in a university. This is a tradition of the universities from the time the universities were created, that the Vice Chancellor, as the head of the institution, gets time to speak to freshers, address freshers on this special day. In many universities, this would be called a matriculation. The whole process that you have been going through for the whole week is normally known as the matriculation process, and this would have been the culmination of that matriculation process. The meaning of matriculation is that you, as a student entering the university, this would be an opportunity for you to have your name written in the big book of the university. In the traditional classical universities, there would be a big book where every student, after this orientation and after the speech of the Vice Chancellor, would sign the book, and that book will be kept for eternity, for the entire period that that university will exist. It is what shows really that you ever were a student in that university. So this is a very, very special occasion. Under normal circumstances, as your Vice Chancellor, I would have been dressed in the academic gown today, and probably the next time you would meet the Vice Chancellor dressed in the Vice Chancellor's ceremonial gown is on the day you are graduating. But again, as said, we are in special circumstances and things may not work exactly the way they have always worked in the past. So this is your matriculation. although we are not going to ask you to sign the book of the university as registered students. This will happen when you report to university physically in January. Then we will cause you to register yourself formally. I want to move on to tell you something about the Technical University of Kenya in very, very brief terms. As has been indicated by Professor Shundu, the Technical University of Kenya was created out of the former Kenya Polytechnic. The Kenya Polytechnic was very well known in this country and within this region as the leading institution for the training of technicians and artisans. So people would come to this institution to be trained as up to diploma level, after which you would graduate as a technician, and then there was also the possibility that you would go on to study for the higher diploma, which probably would graduate you as somebody just slightly lower than a technologist. The institution created a very good reputation in this respect within the entire East African region and was considered a leading institution for training technicians in the technical fields and in the vocational fields. In 2007, the government of Kenya thought it wise to elevate this institution to university level. The elevation of this institution to university level took many steps, and there were a lot of considerations as this was being done. And there were reports prepared which guided that process. And the very first students were admitted to us. Just a minute, there is an interference. The very first students were admitted to us in January 2009 when we admitted the first cohort of 128 students to come and study for degrees in electrical engineering, and at the same time to upgrade themselves from the diploma level also in electrical engineering. The total number of students actually was 150 because there were 128 students coming in from high school and 22 students coming in with the diploma qualification. From that time, we have admitted several cohorts of students, as you can imagine. In the early years, we admitted students for the first 5 years of our existence. We admitted students after every 8 months because we were running behind schedule. But just to give you an idea about the structure of the university today, the university is organized into 3 faculties. Currently, we have the Faculty of Engineering and the Built Environment, the Faculty of Applied Sciences and Technology, and the Faculty of Social Sciences and Technology. What those things say will give you an indication about what the faculties cover. So in short, we have people who come here to study in the broad field of engineering and the built environment, that is traditional engineering, probably as you know it, and architecture, planning, and other disciplines that are related to the built environment. And then we have the Faculty of Applied Sciences, which deals with the sciences. We use the terminology applied because there is a very strong focus on application in the sciences that you come here to learn. And then the Faculty of Social Sciences and Technology deals with social sciences, but again with a very strong orientation towards application. This university was created with the objective that it would focus a lot on practical training. And I'm going to be able to say something about that. We currently have about 15,000 students in this university. 10,000 of these students, roughly, are sponsored by the government, and this group includes degree students, postgraduate students, and diploma students. And then we have about 4,000 to 5,000 students who are here as privately sponsored students. We have about 1,500 employees. 600 of these are academic staff. That is, these are people who teach. And then we have about another 300 technicians who also interact with you in the classrooms. So roughly we have about 900 people who will be involved with yourselves directly in your learning environment. Either they're teaching you as your lecturers or they're guiding you as technicians in your laboratory and field works in which you will be involved. I understand from the figures from the University Fund Board that we should be the largest engineering school in this country. From the largest count, which is about 2 years ago, we were about 3,900 students who are just dedicated to the study of engineering. That is larger than any university in this country by far, and I suspect would be larger than any university within the East African region. That underlines firmly the orientation that this university has taken as a technological university, and I will say something about that a little later. In your university life, as you come to this university, we shall aim to impart upon you the best knowledge we can give you. One of the biggest and one of the most exciting experiences any person can go through, especially a young person, is that of being in a university. It is an experience that you cannot replace with anything else. And as you come to this institution, I invite you that you make the best use of this opportunity. The significance of being in a university and being a university student is a tradition that has gone on for many, many years. The biggest objective of coming to university, first and foremost, is to get general knowledge, knowledge that you can use to go out there and behave as a good human being. This is the first call of a university. Many of you are coming here to study special disciplines in professional areas and so forth, and probably you are thinking about, when I get my degree, I will go out and look for a job and get a good job. Yes, that is good, but that was always only the secondary objective of university education. And as you come here, you need to understand this. You need to understand that you should leave the university as an educated person, as an informed person, as somebody who can go out there and influence society in a positive way. Just to give you an indication, when the university started in the medieval period, and that is a period like in the 10th century and the 11th century, for instance, the universities focused education in what were called the liberal arts. The liberal arts were supposed to train you to be a liberated person. That is why they are called liberal arts. You are supposed to be liberated in your mind. You are supposed to be liberated in the way you deal with other people. You are not supposed to deal with people from a point of fear, for example. And that's why they are called liberal arts. And the liberal arts were 7 subjects. 3 of them in part 1, or you can call the lower category, and 4 of them in part 2. The 3 in part 1 were called the trivium. And students, I invite you to go into the internet and find out for yourselves what is a trivium, Trivium. The trivium were 3 subjects made up of grammar, logic, and rhetoric. Now, this is the first thing you were taught in university. You were taught grammar so that you could have good language. It was important that you have language. Remember, the students who were being taught grammar were in university and they were learning in their mother language. And that mother language, they were being taught the grammar of. So this should tell you that language is the first thing that you should want to learn and make sure that you have good command of when you come to university. Unfortunately for yourselves, the official language in the university is English, and we expect that you will make efforts to make sure that you can communicate well in the English language, because everything that we will be doing with you is going to be communicated in the English language. Sometimes we may speak in Kiswahili, but it is not official. Then the next subject you learned in university was logic. You are expected to be logical. Logic was supposed to teach you not to be unreasonable. You should be able to see how things follow onto each other in a sequential manner. This is absolutely important in university education, because when your lecturers are teaching you, you will be expected to see how things follow sequentially onto each other. You are expected to express through your disposition as you interact with other people that you are a logical person, that you are not unreasonable. Therefore, logic was the next subject you learned in the university. And third was rhetoric. Being able to speak in public, being able to communicate something to people in public. When you leave university, many of you are going to find yourselves in situations where you must speak in public, where you must explain something to a group of people. It is important that you learn how you can be able to do this. Unfortunately, the university does not teach things like public speaking formally, but this university is taking this seriously, and we are already creating an institute where the students will be expected to learn how to communicate well. We teach communication skills, yes, and there are elements of all these things I've talked about. We teach you grammar a bit in the communication skills and rhetoric in the communication skills. Unfortunately, the time is normally not enough for us to do that. But in logic, we have a course which you will go through in this university that is called critical thinking. In critical thinking, we teach you a bit of philosophy, and we teach you how to be logical. So you can see part one was largely dealing with languages and communication. In part two, there was something called quadrivium. Again, I want you to go into either in the dictionary or in the internet, and you'll find what is called quadrivium. You write this down, Q-U-A-D, that is quad, R-I-V-I-U-M, quadrivium. The quadrivium was the second part of your education in university in the liberal arts. And this one was made up of 4 subjects: arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy. Arithmetic and geometry was supposed to ensure, arithmetic particularly, that you are able to count. If you are an educated person, you should be able to count, which today we probably call mathematical literacy. It would be called mathematical literacy, and there are many universities in the world where they insist that every student who graduates from the university must have some level of mathematical literacy. It is just ability to count things. And then there was geometry. Geometry was supposed to help you appreciate shapes, appreciate structure, how things relate in a structural manner. And then there is the music. Music was a representation of the arts. If you have gone to university and you are expected to be a cultured person, and culture is particularly expressed in art, whether in music or in drawing, you must be able to appreciate art. You must be able to appreciate things to do with drama and theater. This is what music represented. And then there was astronomy, which taught you something about the heavens, the earth, and the environment in which we live. If you look at this carefully, students, and when you come to university, you will find that we try to give you elements of each one of these in some way. but it is expected that you yourself will go to the library and you try to learn this so that you can leave the university as an educated person. In those days, when you had studied those 4 subjects, you got your degree or equivalent of the degree, which would be like equivalent of the Bachelor of Arts in Liberal Studies, and you would go out there and you are considered to be educated. From there on, you went on to what were called the higher faculties, where you took postgraduate studies, and postgraduate studies were only available in 3 subjects: in law, in medicine, and in theology. And when you graduated with one of those postgraduate qualification in any of those areas, then you were described as learned. That is why lawyers still call themselves learned, because law is something you could only study at postgraduate level. Even medical doctors were called learned, and theologians were also called learned. And it is for that reason that doctors call themselves doctor, because when you qualified with this qualification, you eventually could now teach, and the title doctor means teacher. Now, the Technical University of Kenya is conceptualized as a combination of 3 types of universities. The classical university in Kenya today, probably our best example of a classical university would be the University of Nairobi. Then there are the technological universities, which strictly speaking may not exist in Kenya just now in the usual way that a technological university would be defined. And then there is a Polytechnic. So we are a combination of a classical university, a technological university, and a Polytechnic. And each one of these are represented in elements of what and how we will teach you. As a classical university, our objective is to make sure that you leave the university as an educated person in the way I have described above. And you will find that it doesn't matter what you are learning, you will get, like I've said, elements of those things that prepare you to go out as an educated person. That is what a classical university was supposed to do, give you classical education. But as a technological university, our focus is on technical and vocational education. I said we may not have a formal technological university in Kenya, and then you may ask, what about the technical university? I'm going to tell you when I finish with this paragraph. So as a technological university, our focus is on academic training in the technical disciplines. So if you have come here to study architecture, or in those universities that focus on architecture, in quantity surveying, in engineering, in applied sciences, those would normally be described as technological universities. But they teach this at the philosophical level. They will take you to the level where there is a lot of focus on the science behind those disciplines. That is what most technological universities will do, with elements of practical training. And then there is the Polytechnic. The Polytechnic means that we are still a polytechnic to the extent that you can come here and graduate with a diploma. Those of you who have been admitted to come to this university to study for the diploma program, this is only possible for us because we are categorized as a polytechnic and formally as a TVET institution. So when you come here to do your diploma, don't think that this is something we are doing as a by the way. It is part of our very formal mandate as we were created as a university to ensure it was described to us or given to us that we should continue as a polytechnic in our activities. And so the diploma program is not an add-on. The diploma program is an integral part of this university, and that part describes our polytechnicness. Another dimension that is represented by our polytechnicness is in the practical training that we are going to impart upon you. One of the important mandates of this university is that whatever it is we are training you in, we must have our foot firmly in the real world, in what the world outside is going to expect of you as a graduate of the university who can be able to produce practical results. So a lot of emphasis is placed on practical training in this university. To that extent, besides the practical exercises that you are going to conduct when you are students in the university, we insist that for every program that lasts at least 1 year, there will be attachment in industry. So those of you who are coming here to do the diploma, you will have attachment in industry for a minimum of 6 months. Usually, the 3 months will be carried out on campus on what we call internal industry-based learning, and then another 1 term of 3 months will be held in industry. Those of you who are coming here to take degrees, it will vary between 2 terms, equivalent of 6 months, to 3 terms, equivalent of 9 months. So you will be at the end of your first 3 terms, you will normally have a 4th term during which you are either doing industry-based learning on campus or you are doing industry-based learning in industry. And we just don't do this as a by the way. We take this very seriously to the extent that if you have not accomplished your practical training in industry, you will not be able to graduate from the university. Lectures are compulsory. You will be required to attend at least 75% of your lectures before we can allow you to take examinations. That one is, you may think that this is relaxed. You may ask the question, why should we not be required to take 100% lectures? The reason is, for various reasons, a person may not be able to take 100% lectures, and therefore, if we insisted on that, a large number of our students would not be able to take their examinations. Moreover, the lecturer in the university does not teach in the usual way that you have become accustomed to from school. The lecturer will give you directions on where to find the material, and then there is normally a lot of interaction between you and the lecturer to ensure that you understand that which the lecturer was talking about in the first place. But a lot of times, you will be expected to make references by yourself. You will be expected to go to the library and find the material so that you understand this yourself in the best way you know. Now, due to the special circumstances that we're in now, your lectures beginning January will be conducted slightly differently from what we have done in the past. In the past, students have come here physically and have listened to lectures from the professors and lecturers. But because of this situation, a lot of our lectures are going to be held online. This is not going to apply to all lectures. The Senate has taken the position that as much as possible, lectures will be held online, but where this is not possible, a few people will be allowed to come to campus to allow them to attend lectures in person. However, practicals, and this is important to us as a university because we are a practical university, practicals will be conducted in a practical sense as in person. So we will be expecting you students to come to university to take your practicals, and normally there will be timetables to that effect. So whereas most of the lectures will be held online, and we have experience in this already, whereas most of the lectures will be held online, practicals will be held physically. We have just carried out a pilot exercise beginning of 5th October with our current students on how to run online lectures. And we started off from 5th October with final year students who came here and took 2 weeks of lectures that was still left when the university was closed in March, and then 1 week of revision, and then there are 2 weeks of examinations. Then we invited our current first years, the ones who are now going to second year. They came and took the examinations because themselves they had already completed the lectures. And after that, we brought in the rest of the students who took lectures also for 2 weeks, 1 week of revision, and 2 weeks of examinations. And those ones just got concluded last week, a week ago on Friday, and it has gone on quite well. And we believe, therefore, that we are in a position where we can run online lectures and also give practical exercises in our laboratories and in the fields in a practical way. You will be given proper guidance on exactly how this is going to work, students. Examinations will continue to be held physically, and we hope that the situation is not going to worsen itself so that we are forced to think of different ways on how to conduct these examinations. So the examinations will be held in a physical manner, just like we have done with the examinations that have just been concluded. Now, all examination students are compulsory. You are expected to take your examinations at the end of the semester. You will also be expected to take continuous assessment tests. In this university, continuous assessment tests are taken twice. So the first 4 weeks, I think it is, after the first 4 weeks, you will have a test. And I think the next 4 weeks, you will have another test. There are 2 tests within a period of 12 weeks. And in this period of 12 weeks, you will also have time to carry out your revisions. I think it is normally in the 5th week or something like that. But you will have 2 tests in the term, and these tests contribute to your final mark for that term. And your final mark for that term contribute to your final mark for the entire academic year. Now, you must pass all your examinations in order for you to proceed to the next year of study. This is absolutely important, students. The pass mark is just 40. So I am sure many of you, wherever you are saying, this is very easy, getting 40 marks I should be able to get. But once you get here, you'll find it is not exactly what you think. Getting that 40 marks sometimes can be very difficult. The pass mark is 40. If you get 39%, we shall tell you that you have failed. And because of that 1 mark, you may have to repeat the whole year. And when you repeat the whole year, you are allowed only 1 repeat. And if you repeat and you fail again, we will ask you to leave the university. It is the reason we ask you to leave the university on what is called discontinuation is in the mind of the university. The university is satisfied that you are not academically prepared to pursue an academic program in the university. So you will be discontinued. Now, it is not our interest to discontinue students. We don't do that. For us to discontinue, it will be something very, very special. And before we do that, we will have checked everything to make sure that indeed there is nothing else we could do. So students, it is very important that when you get to university, you take your studies seriously. And obviously, Nairobi is a big city, and I'm going to say something about that. But it is important that you focus on your studies and you graduate with whatever brought you here to study. Now, the university, one of the things I'm sure you are already asking about is student accommodation. The accommodation of students in this university is still a challenge because the university as an institution initially as Kenya Polytechnic was never conceptualized as a boarding institution. The Polytechnic was conceptualized as an institution that was drawing students from industry, people who were already working, and therefore not much thought was given to student accommodation. And given that the government also has a policy that students should, as much as possible, find their own student accommodation, we are not very strong in that area. But then we work very closely because of the environment in which we are, right in the middle of the city here. We work very closely with various institutions that have hostels who give accommodation to our students. So at the end of the day, almost every student who is coming to the university has been able to find accommodation. The accommodation in the university can carry just a little over 500 students, and that is too small. So the few of you who will be lucky to get accommodation in the hostels, please consider yourself to be extremely privileged that you have been able to get that opportunity to stay in the hostel. Health facilities, especially in view of COVID-19, we have a very strong health center in the university, approved by the Ministry of Health, and therefore, once you are in the university, we should be able to look after you as to your health. There are facilities for outpatient treatment. There are also facilities for inpatient treatment. And I think this is something we have been able to handle very well. We have not received much complaint from students that they are not being looked after well as to their health. Obviously, COVID-19 has complicated issues for us, and it means that we have to be a little bit more careful now, or we must be much more focused in the way we look after the university community, both students and staff. But our health department is prepared to deal with this. So as you come to university, don't be worried about the health facilities. You will be very well looked after. We have put in place a number of facilities to ensure that we are COVID-19 compliant, and in areas where we see failures, and particularly we did this during the time the students were away, but when the students came beginning 5th of October, we have been able to test the measures we have put in place to deal with the COVID-19, and we have not received a lot of complaints or difficult situations since students came here in October 5th. But that does not mean that we are going to sit on our laurels. We continue improving that is the facilities within the campus to ensure that when you come to university, you will be comfortable and you can be assured that you are being looked after. I am sure that the director, that is the chief medical officer, has spoken to yourselves and given you an idea of the protocol that you will be expected to follow when you come to campus in January. General life in Nairobi, a number of you are coming from Nairobi, so those ones will not have a lot of challenges because you already know the city pretty well. But quite a large number of you, probably the majority, will be coming to this university from outside of Nairobi. And indeed, I expect that there will be some of you who will be coming to Nairobi for the first time. Nairobi is a big place, the biggest city in the East African region, and has a lot of good things going for it. It's the biggest cultural center in this region, a lot of cultural activities going on here, and those are the positive things. But because it is a big place, it also has a lot of negative things. And when you come in, it will be very important, students, that you watch carefully the people you associate with. Nairobi is good and bad at the same time. We have had students who come here, and within the first week, they have lost all the money that their parents gave them to come to university with. Some of it even fees, because you have been conned by people on the street. Some of the conning is sophisticated, but some of it is plain stupid. Because when you come here and you have in your pocket 20,000 shillings, and somebody meets you on the street and tells you that they can double this money, and you give them the 20,000 and they tell you they're going to double it, this is one of the reasons when you come to this university, we expect you to get general education, because there is no magic in the world that doubles money. Anything that gets doubled in the world gets multiplied by 2. And that it's as simple as that. So if somebody tells you that through some kind of magic, they can double your money, you know that you are being conned and you are being cheated. That is just a very, very pedantic way of putting it. But there are many, many dangerous things that you will confront yourself with when you come to this city. I am sure that the people who have spoken to you for the rest of in the past few days have indicated to you things like alcohol and drug abuse. This is a serious thing, students. Alcohol and drug abuse. I plead with you, when you come to this university, if you have not started drinking, if you have not started smoking, if you have not started getting yourself involved with drugs, please don't. Please don't. If you are already in there, in any of those, I plead with you, stop. I'll tell you this. Many years ago, in my time as a student at the University of Nairobi, we listened to a lecture from an eminent professor of medicine at the University of Nairobi. And he told us as follows: when you take alcohol, it goes straight to your brain. And when it goes to your brain, it interferes with the functioning of your brain. The reason your leg can't stay straight when you are drunk is because there is nothing wrong with your leg. There is everything wrong with your head. And worst of all, the alcohol kills brain cells. So those people who are very brilliant, and there are very many people who are drinking and they are very brilliant, they would be more brilliant if they didn't drink. Because we were told that the more cells you lose, the more stupid you become. So as you lose cells in the university, just prepare yourself that there are very good chances that you're going to be discontinued from the university because your brain is no longer working. It is actually, if you become an alcoholic, you are like a mad person. There is nothing wrong with drinking alcohol. There are people who drink half a glass of wine a day. I am told that is good for your health. And it is true. It is said that everything in moderation is always good. It is only bad when you take it in excess. And I remember a friend of mine who is a medical doctor, a specialist in children, was being interviewed on TV some time back. And he was talking on this subject, that everything we take in this world should be in moderation. Anything you take in excess will cause you trouble. And he gave an example. He said, as an expert on children, babies, the best thing you can give a baby is water. Water is good for babies all the time. But you try to give a baby 1 gallon of water, you will see what happens. So when you come here and you think you are going to get yourself in excesses, you are going to run into trouble. You should ask yourself, students, why is it that people who have drug problems, people who have drug abuse problems, alcohol abuse problems, cigarette is probably a little different, but drug and alcohol abuse, when you go to hospital, you are taken into the section of mad people. Isn't it so? Here in Kenya, you will go to Mathari Hospital, or you will go to psychiatric hospitals in Nairobi. The reason is, anybody who is abusing alcohol and is abusing drugs is a mad person. So you are treated with mad people. And once you are mad, there is no examination. You are going to pass here, and most importantly, you are going to lose friends. So I plead with you, if you have not started, don't start. But if you have started, please try to stop. Try to stop. If you must drink, drink in moderation. If you must take drugs, I don't know what to advise you because I'm told that drugs are bad generally. And if you are smoking, I also don't know what to advise because it is said that smoking is never good for you. So students, Nairobi is a complicated place. You will find all sorts of people who want to con you, who want to make your life difficult, who want to ruin your life who want to ruin your life. Fees. We expect you to pay your fees promptly because it is that fees that we use to keep you here. As a matter of fact, it is just nominal fees. You will be expected to pay 16,000 shillings as tuition fees. Tuition fees is in university. Many of you have come from schools where you have been paying as much as 70,000 shillings. We are asking you only to pay 16,000 shillings for the time being. You obviously have read in the papers that there is discussion to increase student fees, for which it is being said that vice chancellors are the ones pushing this agenda. That is not exactly so, but I'm not going to discuss that now. The important thing is, this is all still under discussion. So your fees will continue to be 16,000 shillings of tuition. If we have asked you to pay about 30,000 shillings, it is because all those others are statutory fees like student union and many other things. But the tuition in it is just 16,000 shillings. In order to help you financially go through your university education, there is Higher Education Loans Board. And I invite you, those of you who have not applied for your loans with the Higher Education Loans Board, to do so. Higher Education Loans Board will support you with finances to enable you go through university. Part of the money they'll give you will go towards paying your tuition, and what is left you will be expected to use to keep you going as a student in the university. Then we have what is called interfaculty transfers, where I think, again, many of you may have questions. Interfaculty transfers are normally given to you freshers within the first 2 weeks when you report to the university. But because of the current situation, we have been allowing students who want to change from one faculty to another to apply. And I think after this orientation, you should be able to apply to transfer to whichever faculty. But we prefer that this should happen when you come to the university in January, because it is at that time probably you will have been able to see physically for yourself what is on offer in the university, and you will have been able to have a chance to ask questions with the relevant officers of the university on why you should want to change to this course and not change to another course. So it might be good for you to wait when you report to the university in January to seek your interfaculty transfer. Finally, I want once more commend you and congratulate you for being admitted to the Technical University of Kenya. As I said from the beginning, this is a special institution created by this country to promote technological and vocational education at the highest level, and also impart practical knowledge to students. We are a very respected university, not only in this country, but in this region, and actually we have very good recognition at international level. If you check carefully, you will notice that in the last ranking of universities, this university was ranked as the 7th best university in Kenya. There are about 75 universities in this country, and we were number 7. Ahead of us are University of Nairobi, KU, Moi University, JKUAT, Egerton, and Strathmore. And you should therefore be proud of joining this very distinguished institution. By the time you come here and you interact with your lecturers, you will realize that we have some of the very, very proud alumni of this institution, people who speak well of this institution, and we expect that when you come here and you join this group of people, you will be our best ambassadors from the time you join the institution to the time you leave and to the time you will have left the university. We are always looking forward to improve whatever it is we are doing here. And when you come here, because this is a place of freedom as a university, we will expect you to raise any issues with us in a logical manner as educated people. Therefore, students, our new students, it is my very, very, very great pleasure to welcome you once more to this great university, to be part of this great academic community. Is there something you want me to add? So thank you very much, students. And I notice that there's a number of questions that are already being put up. There are people who are following up on the questions that you are raising with us, and I will be able to take some of them. Otherwise, thank you very much for your patience and for listening to me. I'm looking forward to interacting more with yourselves when you join the university in January. I might even find time to speak with some of you physically when you join the university, even if it will be in small groups, so that I also get to see you and you get to see me at a much more physical level. Yes, there are questions, and this is good because some of these are things that I should have probably expressed to you, but I might have overlooked in my general speech. Question number 1 is, what is the difference between term and semester? The Technical University of Kenya, beginning the academic year that's just ended, 2019-2020, introduced the concept of terms. The term is that the year is divided into 4 parts of 3 months each. The semester, the year is divided into 3 parts of 4 months each. All of them, it is 4 times 3 or 3 times 4. And they add up to 12. So the freshers like yourselves, you are going to do the term. And the term, technically, if everything was going according to schedule, like I said, we would have invited you to come to university in July. The first 3 months, you will have had your first term, and you will have had examinations. Then the next 2 months, you will have 3 months, you will have had your second term, and by the end of December, you have finished the second term, and you have finished with your examinations. Then the third term would have covered January, February, and March. And the fourth term would have been April, May, June. The semester group are using the old system where the academic year begins in September. And these people, it would be from September to December, they will have finished 1 semester. And then January, February, March, April will be second semester. And then May, June, July, August, they will have finished the 3rd semester. Usually the people who take the semester route have lectures given to them in the first 2 semesters. The 3rd semester is normally reserved for industry-based learning, whether internal or external. And then those of you who are coming now, you are freshers coming to do the term version, you will have your lectures conducted in the first 3 terms, and then in the last term, you will have industry-based learning again, whether internal or external. The second question is, what is the difference between Bhb Tech and Blc? And a very, very intelligent question, and I thank you for asking this because, again, I should have brought this up in my presentation. Those of you who have come to do engineering, the Bachelor of Engineering degree is a traditional engineering degree given in this country. It is a 5-year program. It is a kind of degree for which, when you qualify, you may aspire to be a registered engineer, for example, with the Engineers Board of Kenya. This is the degree you will find in Nairobi. It is the degree you find in Moi. It is a degree you will find in JKUAT. It is a degree you find in Dedan Kimathi, Mombasa TUM, and KU, and other people who are teaching degree programs in this country. I think those are the main ones, the ones I've counted. They call those degrees different things. For example, the Nairobi degree in engineering is a Bachelor of Science. I think JKUAT is also a Bachelor of Science. Moi University is a Bachelor of Engineering. TUK is a Bachelor of Engineering. And I think Mombasa TUM is a Bachelor of Engineering. I think Dedan Kimathi is BSc. Those degrees mean the same things. It is just the nomenclature. But strictly speaking, when you come here, and we can have a discussion with you on this, since I come from that faculty as well, there is supposed to be a difference between a Bachelor of Science in Engineering and a Bachelor of Engineering per se. But for now, to make matters easier, let us treat them as being the same. The Bachelor of Technology is a 4-year program at this university and unique to this university. It is one of the special degree programs that we introduced when we became a university. It is one of ways in which we responded to the government request that we should train people who are hands-on and of a practical nature. The Bachelor of Technology is very focused on practical training and gives you a lot of practical exposure. It is aimed at ensuring that you can be able to do things in a much more practical way than the Bachelor of Engineering or the Bachelor of Science in Engineering degree would be able to do. The Bachelor of Engineering and the BSc person is taught a lot more scientifically than practically. The Bachelor of Technology person is taught a lot more practically probably than scientifically. But it is a 4-year course. Now, another point with the Bachelor of Technology is that it is designed to admit people who are coming to us with diploma qualifications from high school, from TVET colleges. So if you have a diploma from a TVET college, you can come here. We'll give you credits normally for the first 2 years of the Bachelor of Technology. You will do 3rd year and 4th year, and you graduate with your degree. Those of you who have come to do diploma, this is a very important point to note, because if you come here, you finish your diploma in 3 years, and you want to get your degree, we shall allow you to join the BTech program in 3rd year and 4th year. You might do some preliminary courses. You might have a preliminary term or semester, depending on how it is called, just to bring you up to speed to make sure that you have covered the material in the BTech of 1st year and 2nd year. But you will normally do 2 years to get your degree. So those people who graduate with the BTech, you graduate as engineering technologists. Those people who graduate with the Bachelor of Engineering, you will graduate as an engineer per se. Now, the BTech is not just available in engineering. It is also available with the Faculty of Applied Sciences and Technology and Faculty of Social Sciences and Technology. For example, those of you who have come here to do technical and applied physics, or you have come here to do technical and applied biology, or you have come here to do industrial chemistry or analytical chemistry, you will graduate with a Bachelor of Technology. And the difference between this degree and, say, the BSc you would get in another university is that a lot of emphasis is placed on practical training. So technical and applied physics, we expect you to leave here with practical knowledge that you can go and apply outside there, for instance. Thank you. Any other questions? No, nobody has posted any questions. Now, you were told by Professor Shiundu at the beginning, students, that you will, the portal is going to remain open, and you are free to raise any questions which we can respond to now online. So if there are no further questions, once more, welcome to the Technical University of Kenya, and thank you very much for listening to myself.